Hello, I'm Jackie Schollerman with Schollerman Group of Coldwell Banker Realty here in downtown Palo Alto. Today I'm with Jeff Windsor, an attorney and also mediator and arbitrator in San Mateo area of California. So Jeff, welcome. What would you like to speak to today to our viewers?
Well, I think today's a good opportunity to talk about mediation, especially in the context of real estate. Obviously, a lot of what you do and a lot of what I think your viewers are interested in. So, but before we go too far, just a reminder, and what we're talking about here isn't legal advice, just for informative purposes.
Yes, absolutely. So tell us about what is mediation, what's arbitration, what are the pros and cons, and what are the differences? Because even as a realtor myself, I get confused about the differences between the two.
Sure. So mediation is an opportunity to settle a dispute, often in the context of real estate. The dispute arises between a buyer and a seller. And so a mediation is an opportunity for a third party who is neutral to kind of come in and get between the two and try to resolve a dispute. So if for any reason a sale falls through or there's disagreement about some of the terms that leads to a longer dispute, the mediator can help try to reach a compromise. An
And
arbitration, on the other hand, is where you have somebody, it's a little bit like a kind of a mini trial as opposed to going to court and having a judge or a jury decide for the parties. It's held usually in conference rooms, at least before the pandemic it was in conference rooms. Now a lot of it is being handled just like we have here now in Zoom. And so the parties will submit their dispute to the arbitrator, and then the arbitrator will decide who should prevail. Now, the rules for arbitration are a lot looser than they would be in court with regard to the admission of evidence and the taking of testimony. In mediation, it gives the parties an opportunity to actually compromise and come to their own solution. Sometimes even be creative about how it is that they want to resolve the dispute and kind of decide their own fate as opposed to leaving it into the hands of an arbitrator or a panel of arbitrators.
what about if one of the party or either one of the parties are not happy with the arbitration resolution? What are the remedy or what are the next steps that can be taken, or is that the final resolution?
Well, in the context of your standard purchase and sales agreement, your standard California Association of Realtors purchase and sales agreement, it's usually binding. And so that is usually kind of the end of the day if you go to arbitration pursuant to that agreement. There are non-binding arbitrations. And those are often when a case has been filed and the parties will go to court. They can decide to go to arbitration and have one or more arbitrators decide. And then if they don't like the result, they can ask for what's called a trial de novo and then proceed with the civil action. But normally when you're operating within the context of that CAR agreement, yes, the result is binding. So that, is often another reason why you probably at the very least want to give mediation a try to see if you can get it resolved first before having to go to that binding arbitration. And again, seeing if you can come up with a resolution that you're happy with or that both parties are happy with, or perhaps you even equally unhappy with, but nonetheless saves a lot of time and resources and anxiety.
So, do we need to hire an attorney in order to go to mediation arbitration, or can parties come directly to mediator and arbitrators?
Parties can go to mediation without an attorney. I handled a mediation about 2 weeks ago between a buyer and a seller, and we were able to get that settled, in about 4 hours in the morning. And neither party had an attorney. It was a purchase that fell through. The buyer backed out on the day before escrow was going to close. And so the seller said, okay, let's just go to mediation. Let's see if we can find someone. They were able to find me online, and we were able to conduct the mediation through Zoom, just like this. If the parties are not successful for some reason and they want to go to arbitration, it's a really good idea to consult with an attorney at some point, either before they go into the arbitration or to help them at it. There are a lot of rules that are involved in arbitration, and like I said earlier, it's binding. So you really want to make sure you're presenting your best case. So it's a really good idea to consult with an attorney at the very least before, but you probably want to have one when you're going into the arbitration.
And what are the common issues that you see over and over that perhaps the buyers and sellers or even realtors involved should be mindful of and stay away from?
Well, non-disclosures and material defects, those are really big ones. So I'm confident that you're familiar with those. The one that I mentioned that I had recently, there was a noise issue. It was a house near SFO, and the buyer seemed to be kind of surprised at how much noise might result from that particular location. So, there are a lot of things that you want to make sure that you're either disclosing appropriately before you list, or when you're going to buy, you're making sure that you check everything out, including kind of going through the neighborhood a few times to understand, to make sure that it's going to be a comfortable place and suitable for your needs.
Anything else you would like to share with the viewers about the arbitration or mediation, or anything else?
Well, it's if you find that you're in a dispute right now, some kind of either a litigated or a non-litigated dispute, or you think that you're heading to litigation, something important to remember right now, as a result of the pandemic, the courts all over the Bay Area and really all over the country are backed up. I was in court just last week on an appearance, and in San Mateo, and the judge was saying that if they were scheduling cases right now for trial, there probably wouldn't be a trial held until about the middle of next year. So it's really good to try to kind of put your best foot forward at this point to see what you can do to resolve whatever dispute you have, because it's going to be, if you do end up in litigation, it's going to be a long road before you really see that trial date. So that would be really my suggestion at this point, is doing everything that you can to get something resolved. And if that includes going to mediation and bringing in a mediator like myself or another, yeah, that would be my suggestion.
And what does it take for an attorney such as you to become a certified, or I'm assuming qualified certified mediator arbitrator?
There are different certification programs. I mean, obviously, I'm an attorney, a licensed attorney, so I've been doing that for a long while. There really isn't a license requirement for mediation in California, but in order to be on many of the Bay Area's mediation panels, the court panels, you do need a certain amount of certification and a number of hours in which you have mediated. So I trained down at Pepperdine Law School. They have a dispute resolution center down there. And then I did many hours of pro bono mediation here in some local resolution centers. And then just kind of eventually develop the practice that way. Arbitration is a little different. There's certification programs for that as well. Once you just get enough hours under your belt, then, you can get on some of those panels and serve as either a mediator or arbitrator.
Great. So, for the viewers who are seeking your advice, how did they get hold of you?
I'm online, so I mean, you see my name, Jeff Windsor. So my website address, windsor-plc.com. And you can, I think there's a contact inquiry form there, or my office phone number, 650-638-2360.
Great. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Jeff, for taking time to go over the mediation arbitration. That was extremely valuable. I really appreciate that.
I'm happy to. Thank you, Jackie.